Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay cast. Got ourselves a mirror matchup. It's been a while since I cast one of these for the YouTube channel. It's going to be Cyber Forest, a Terran versus Terran. And if you're just looking at the usernames in this game, we've got ourselves a barcode player. However, up in the top left, under the barcode, it's HeRoMaRinE playing for Mouse Esports. As I always say pretty much before casting a barcode account, of course we can't really verify whoever's actually really playing on an account on a ladder game. However, it's a 6.9k GM Terran on Europe, and it's tagged on SC2 Unmasked as HeRoMaRinE, so it's a pretty solid bet. And yeah, anyway, his opponent in the bottom right hand side of the map, I don't think I've ever actually cast him before. It's DeMusliM. DeMusliM, the former pro gamer and streamer. I think he's really focusing on streaming these days. That being said, the man is an absolute ladder machine. He plays at a very high level on the European ladder, and that means he meets guys like HeRoMaRinE. Should be a great match between these two Terrans here. HeRoMaRinE is generally who you'd say is the favorite, but once again, back to that, DeMusliM's always playing on the ladder. So, and doing so, you meet versus very, very high-level players, as all the pro players. He's up there meeting on ladder and such. HeRoMaRinE opening up with an SCV Scout. I'm a big fan of this in TvT, of pretty much any matchup, because you can never be so sure. However, it's Cyber Forest. You're not too likely to be proxied or anything. And HeRoMaRinE just heads on out of there with his SCV. Basically just scouts out the barracks, scouts out the factory timing and everything, and knows that everything's pretty standard. HeRoMaRinE opting to go for the command center before he gets up his factory. That's sort of a slight tweak he's making. Cyber Forest looks like a fairly big map here for TvT. So as far as that's concerned, probably one of the maps you can get away with the command center or just a standard Reaper expand. Whereas the Terran, it's also fully acceptable to go for that factory off the back of the double gas. Reaper is staying at home for DeMusliM. He's going to start up his own command center, so just a little bit later than the other Terran players. It's just sort of the slightly aggressive or the slightly safer option as opposed to a normal Reaper expand. Probably won't make too big of a difference in this game, the fact that he's throwing it up now. Of course, it's a little bit later. However, it's not the biggest deal and will probably equal out as the game goes on. As far as tech goes, Starport's timed out pretty similarly, whereas we're seeing double Hellion on the way out from HeRoMaRinE. DeMusliM, it's important to note that he skipped the reactor. I know this is a mirror matchup, so it's a lot of talking about what the players are. Basically, just watch the production tab. And HeRoMaRinE this game, just going about a bit of a different path here than DeMusliM. Getting out 4 Hellions at a time, though, makes me think that this is going to be a potential Medivac drop later on. 4 Hellions in TvT is a little bit unusual until you're reaching that mech stage of the game. He does want those Hellions to be able to shoo off what DeMusliM has out here. DeMusliM's poking his opponent, not going to go up that ramp though. HeRoMaRinE now moving down to secure his natural, parking his Hellions up on that top ramp. And both players are going into a Cyclone, so things, yeah, they're a little bit different. However, we take a look at the worker count. Pretty equal command center timing, pretty close. Cyclone on the way for each player. DeMusliM is making a Raven, which is notable here, though. It really is, though, apples to oranges, the difference in the opening of this TvT. Raven's on the way for HeRoMaRinE, so both the players going to have one of those. The Raven is, I'd say, at a very good spot in the game of StarCraft 2. It's very, very useful in TvT, other matchups too as well. However, it's just not that sort of unit which players mass anymore. So as far as what Blizzard has done with the unit, it's pretty great. But we generally do see 1 or 2 for each Terran player in a TvT. HeRoMaRinE has moved out on the map, being comfortable enough to do so. Going to park his units on top of the ramp, maybe hoping to catch a move out from DeMusliM. DeMusliM, on the other hand, just going into his Marine tank. HeRoMaRinE as well, so pretty mirror for this mirror matchup so far. We're about 5 minutes in. Nothing too crazy has happened since the TvT meta has stabilized a little bit. Everything considered, though, yeah. It's just, guys, like, it's pretty close. Okay, there's something that we're seeing. HeRoMaRiNE's going for a third command center. Pretty bold statement in a TvT, particularly due to the amount of scouting he has done. There we go. As I say that, he scans. So he wants to know what his opponent's up to. DeMusliM currently rocking that 1-1-1 still. And HeRoMaRiNE threw up the third command center. We'll see if DeMusliM does the same, or whether he'll throw up a couple of more barracks. He's floating his barracks over to his tech lab. So going to be playing Bio, whereas HeRoMaRiNE hasn't committed to one style or another. We can probably assume it's going to be Bio, though. However, his barracks and such will be a little bit delayed due to this command center. DeMusliM, no extra barracks just yet. I'm curious what he's going to throw up. He's focusing heavily on Viking production now, so maybe going to be going for a bit of a poke here, delaying the rest of his tech. There's that third CC on location. I'm a big fan of seeing this. Meanwhile, DeMusliM's moving out. HeRoMaRiNE's Hellions and Cyclone just poking these units here. Just those units, not the most useful at this stage in the game, though. Third command center going to be finishing up for HeRoMaRiNE. DeMusliM kind of countering the fact for by getting his CC on location, so it's a little bit of give and take. Right now we're seeing that lock on to the Raven of DeMusliM. Or actually, what was it that was locked on there? Anyway, here comes in DeMusliM. He's going for an attack now. Stim isn't done for him, so he's actually attacking very confidently. All the spells have been thrown out from the Ravens. DeMusliM's looking to lock HeRoMaRiNE out of his natural, though. Viking count in the favor for HeRoMaRiNE, so he might be able to push back DeMusliM. DeMusliM, though, with a scan first, going to be able to pick off a tank of HeRoMaRiNE. Actually, never mind. HeRoMaRiNE's other tank with the assist comes in and picks that off. DeMusliM tried to go for this move out. HeRoMaRiNE, I don't think he's in too much trouble, though. DeMusliM, yeah, he's got his Vikings, but they're going to be getting picked off here. And pushing into defensive tanks is very tough to do in TvT. Now, what do we see here? Stim pack on the way for DeMusliM. So his stim is a lot quicker than that of HeRoMaRiNE. HeRoMaRiNE is literally just starting his. So as far as upgrades go, DeMusliM really has that going for him. Both players just getting up their additional barracks. So they're really limiting themselves on production here. However, DeMusliM definitely with a stim lead at this point in the game, getting up all of his extra barracks right now. 4 on the way at a time, getting his +1 attack on the way, whereas HeRoMaRiNE started his 1-1, so HeRoMaRiNE gonna have a potential upgrade advantage. DeMusliM, I'm not sure if he'll be able to use his stim advantage here. He's got like a minute and a half advantage on stim over HeRoMaRiNE. However, since he did limit his bio production, since both players did that, the Marines, I mean, if DeMusliM had a good amount of Marines, you'd say, yeah, maybe the stim can make a difference, but it's a relatively low Marine count for both players. DeMusliM just going to poke with his Vikings and tanks here, but look at this. HeRoMaRiNE uses his Raven, locks down DeMusliM's tank, so he actually loses 2 tanks they're pushing on in. Not going to find a lot versus HeRoMaRiNE at this stage in the game, and a couple of Vikings moving forward for DeMusliM. That's a fair bit of a mistake there. Oh, he pulls him back, but that's going to cost him a Viking. And when it comes to TvT, the Viking count really can be everything. HeRoMaRiNE got himself a nice position for that Viking war already, just with the way they've gone down. How many Vikings have died on each side? Yeah, 4 for DeMusliM, 2 for HeRoMaRiNE. If we look at the Viking difference, it's about 3, so that's partially where that came from. 1-1 is on the way for both players now. DeMusliM has the quicker combat shield than HeRoMaRiNE, so he still will hold out a potential Marine advantage if the players meet, but DeMusliM might just be getting pulled out of position right now. He has a scouting Marine, or his Cyclone actually locks onto some Vikings. Vikings being rallied across the map generally is a sign that your opponent's coming for you, and DeMusliM sends an SCV. He confirms where HeRoMaRiNE's army is. Can he get into position in time, though? HeRoMaRiNE's going to be able to siege up these tanks. DeMusliM knows that the situation is desperate. He's moving in with the Marines. The SCVs had no choice but to buffer for this. Looks like DeMusliM closing the gap, getting on top of all the tanks, but that did cost him for sure. How many SCVs died there? 22 SCVs have died this game. Most of them for DeMusliM, holding off that attack, so HeRoMaRiNE gets a massive economic blow there in on his opponent. It was nice for DeMusliM that he reset the tank count of HeRoMaRiNE. However, that definitely did hurt the Terran player. I know that's not very specific in a TvT mirror matchup, but it hurt the red Terran player. Now, what can DeMusliM do? I mean, he's got the combat shield, yes, so his Marines are superior. He's setting up his tanks on the high ground. HeRoMaRiNE actually stimming in. That's a little bit bold versus 3 siege tanks. Yeah, that's not going to happen. A couple of Vikings getting picked off. DeMusliM is set up here. with his siege tanks, not able to shoot that third base until a scan goes down, and there we see it. So he is working away. He's actually in range of his opponent. HeRoMaRinE going to pull to repair these Vikings. Looks like he needs to break this position here. DeMusliM is getting his licks in, and his Marine count seriously is scary from the scheme of things. Yeah, look at that. DeMusliM producing Marines nonstop, 35 of them in total. No medivacs to support. However, still very, very serious. Scan goes down for HeRoMaRinE, but not in range of the tanks. These tanks, it's all about the zoning there. And DeMusliM, he's got himself a good position. This is very tough for HeRoMaRinE to break. He needs to save his natural here. However, just that base is constantly under fire. He's going to want to try and break this eventually. Patience is probably a virtue for HeRoMaRinE though, but as that's going on though, DeMusliM getting a drop off in the main base. HeRoMaRinE will be reacting to this, pulling in a good number of Marines, so should be able to clean this up with no issue, but his third base still under fire. But look at this, as this is going on, a nice drop from HeRoMaRinE landing on top of the tanks of DeMusliM, picks one of them off for a few Marines. The third base of HeRoMaRinE has just been shut down mining-wise though. HeRoMaRinE did secure a fourth base, whereas DeMusliM has none in sight. He really is the player that's committed here. He wants to try and get something happen. So far, HeRoMaRinE hasn't been baited into anything too terrible, though. 2-2 is on the way for both players as this is going on. This game is actually very close between the players. DeMusliM with the army supply lead. Looks like HeRoMaRinE's going to try and break this position. Going up into tank fire is always risky. DeMusliM looks like he did have some of his tanks picked off there, and HeRoMaRinE did exactly what he wanted to from the scheme of things. He broke the tank, the sort of outer tanks of DeMusliM, and that allowed him to secure his fourth base. DeMusliM, though, now on the move, might be looking to secure himself another better position right now. Might just bypass that third base. However, he is drawn in. He's going right into this third base location. Attacking into tanks is very risky. There's a lot of tanks here for HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE has an upgrade advantage right now. DeMusliM did have a lot of Marines, though. It looks like it's not enough, though, so DeMusliM not able to break that location, losing a lot of supply there. Army supply still relatively even, though the main point is, though, DeMusliM without a fourth base going up behind this. 2-2 going to be finishing up, so these players will be equal on upgrades. There's always a chance for the armies to clash favorably for DeMusliM. He's looking he hasn't been able to make something happen versus HeRoMaRinE. He's still just not been able to break him. He's unloading Marines on top of some of the tanks of HeRoMaRinE. Actually picks off one of them, might get a second, looks like he will. HeRoMaRinE's taking this as an opportunity to go for it though. However, his third base is actually a little bit exposed now. Tanks getting set up on there. HeRoMaRinE has to engage into this, eating some tank shots on his Marine. His third base might get picked off. Can DeMusliM get it? It's so low, but it gets repaired by this SCVs with a nice save there. HeRoMaRinE able to keep that command center alive. DeMusliM going for a drop in the main base. Once again, it's only 2 medivacs, so it has to clash with the production, so DeMusliM might just have to abandon that front. He's forced HeRoMaRinE off his third base. He's trading out with the Marines. One of those medivacs will go down. DeMusliM's just been gas going as this game has been progressing now. The tanks unsieging here for DeMusliM. Looks like yeah, he wants to try and find something. He's just been so aggressive this game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see DeMusliM float over his main base relatively soon. He just needs to make something happen. HeRoMaRinE with the fourth base, it is such an anchor point for him. And when the players are working with equal compositions, it is tough to attack in here for DeMusliM. He's getting tanks sieged up the high ground. Will get off the first shots there. Nicely done. Picks off one of the tanks of his opponent. Loses one of his own, though. DeMusliM, is he gonna... It's tank versus tank. Looks like DeMusliM's tank will win out there, getting some shots off on HeRoMaRinE's bio. Nicely done. The main thing is that DeMusliM has been using this high ground in this game wonderfully. HeRoMaRinE, he always has to have a medivac, even if he wants to see up some short distances. So DeMusliM's been using that wonderfully. DeMusliM lacking medivacs, there's no doubt about that. He's got a whackload of Marines, though. However, HeRoMaRinE gonna have his +3 on the way sooner. What can DeMusliM do at this point? He needs to break his opponent. He's inching forward with tanks. HeRoMaRinE actually moves his tanks forward. A bad move there, gonna cost him like 1 or 2 of his tanks there. We're actually seeing the Marines clash right now. A pretty bad angle for DeMusliM. However, he does have tanks there to support a better engagement for him. He's trying to punish HeRoMaRinE. Forces HeRoMaRinE off his third base once again, so the players are rather equal on bases. DeMusliM, he's long distance mining, actually throwing up a fourth base command center, so taking some steps towards maybe macroing out of this. He's kept HeRoMaRinE pinned for a long time this game. HeRoMaRinE going to be pulling back with these Marines. He's going to be going for a counter drop, which is nice to see at this point in the game. He's really been pinned on his side of the map, so that's a very nice move for him. That being said, those units aren't going to be here to help him defend. Tanks getting shots off for both players here. We are seeing this medevac going to be moving south. Does DeMusliM have anything prepared for this? He really is just rallying across the map. It is just one medevac full of Marines. Meanwhile, in this front, oh, looks like DeMusliM trying to go for a Marine drop there on a tank. That medevac gets picked off HeRoMaRinE. He's floated over this orbital command that hasn't been able to mine here just yet. Tanks getting their shots up constantly. HeRoMaRinE is going to be investing back into Vikings to try and break this stalemate as this game goes on. He's got this counter drop set up towards DeMusliM's third base. That is an important base for DeMusliM as his fourth isn't quite mining yet. And the SCVs that are exposed, they're going to start going down. A nice move by HeRoMaRinE. DeMusliM may feel pressured to get something done. He's got reinforcing Marines coming on in though. Does manage to push this back. Took a bit of damage. Nothing too critical just yet. And we are seeing DeMusliM. He has got up this base, and he can maybe turn it into a planetary. We'll see. Army supply rather even looks like DeMusliM going to be going for a doom drop on HeRoMaRinE, though. Is HeRoMaRinE prepared for it? He does have Marines stimming on in, so he definitely knows about it. There's just one tank in here for DeMusliM, which is a little bit concerning. He may be able to pick off some of the production here and then get out. Picks off reactors, picks off barracks. A nice move there for the red Terran player, really hurting HeRoMaRinE's production, supply blocking him even. The tank setup is just helping him out tremendously. DeMusliM might just want to full-on evacuate here. HeRoMaRinE's going for it. DeMusliM probably wants to load up and get out. It's looking a little bit risky, though. HeRoMaRinE engages in the one tank, doing the best that it can. DeMusliM gets out with a couple of his medivacs. Took a decent trade there, hurt HeRoMaRinE's production, which is a nice move. DeMusliM unloading the Marines. HeRoMaRinE's still not able to secure this third base just yet. The Marines might actually be able to pick off this third base, and they do. That is an absolutely critical move for DeMusliM. So massive. He manages to secure this fourth base as well, so suddenly he's up on bases. HeRoMaRinE's third base has not been a thing this game, really. Marines engaging up here for HeRoMaRinE. Might be able to break DeMusliM. Looks like he is. He's going to send the red Terran player packing, and DeMusliM, he got fantastic economic damage done to his opponent. However, he needs to hold on now. He's setting up tanks. This is where he's going to make a stand. He needs to buffer for these siege tanks. HeRoMaRinE rather stim, so those tanks getting massive shots off, and there's a big wave of production for DeMusliM. He's going to go for it. HeRoMaRinE doesn't have a lot of Marines here. He's got a lot of tanks. They're getting set up. He might not have enough, though. Marines for DeMusliM eating a lot of tanks. The buffer for HeRoMaRinE is gone, though. The Marines stepping forward. They're trading out, picking off these tanks. They're overstimmed. DeMusliM has worn thin, but he did hold off the counterattack from HeRoMaRinE. And that's really what DeMusliM needed to do. HeRoMaRinE has now been forced to float over his main base, so he is keeping this economy going. The supply is still rather even on both sides. However, DeMusliM, when things were looking a little bit dicey, they're suddenly looking a lot better for him now. He's taken this moment to breathe, setting up his sensor tower turrets, getting his +2 ship weapons or vehicle weapons for his siege tanks there, and both players are just producing as much as they can as this game is going on. What a fantastic biotank TvT from these players. Sensor tower going up for HeRoMaRinE as well. It's sort of my opponent's making a sensor tower, so I need to make a sensor tower, and DeMusliM getting him up, securing these extra bases. We may see one of these players try and get up, say, a fifth base soon. I'd have to wager that it would be DeMusliM. For now, though, both these players just heavily producing. Army supply rather close to DeMusliM. He's looking to set his sights on HeRoMaRinE's fourth base, and getting up extra bases here is very important for the players because their mains and naturals are mined out. Even this fourth base mining out for HeRoMaRinE, third, fourth, whatever you want to call it. DeMusliM, his base is also starting to look a little bit worse off. He might want to float over a command center soon, as both these players, yeah, I mean, their economies are starting to run dry, so the bases that they have just become more and more important. We're now seeing DeMusliM stepping forward, sieges up all of his tanks, shooting on HeRoMaRinE's tanks, shooting on his Marines, takes a good trade there. I mean, it's usually the first tank that gets the shot off wins, but when it's like 6 tanks versus 1, it's not going to go well for the one. Now we're seeing DeMusliM really trying to tighten the noose on HeRoMaRinE's neck. HeRoMaRinE really going to be relying on this tank defender's advantage. He's been making these Vikings here to give him that air control, so DeMusliM can't bully him with the tanks as easily. Scans can overcome that. HeRoMaRinE is going to be using these Vikings to try and push DeMusliM back. DeMusliM's made like a Liberator or two, or a couple of his own Vikings. There we are. HeRoMaRinE's making the Liberators and going to be wanting to use that air control to get on top of this. And look at this, a nice drop from HeRoMaRinE. Going to be able to pick off a tank for a Marine or 2. There we go, 2 tanks for what? 4 Marines. That's a worthwhile trade. DeMusliM might be getting forced back here. HeRoMaRinE's holding on. His economy was hurt. However, still surviving for now. But look at this. Yeah, HeRoMaRinE, his third base is even starting to run out of minerals. His fourth base is all but gone. It could become rather concerning for him soon. DeMusliM, what he has is his fourth base is a little bit fresher, but he's actually floating over his natural to keep that ball rolling, to keep his economy strong. HeRoMaRinE, he'd have to float over his own natural to do that for now. DeMusliM, though, just being so aggressive this game. That command center. Oh, look at this. DeMusliM unsieges. HeRoMaRiNE's actually just going for it. DeMusliM has a better angle there, but he loses a few of his tanks, so HeRoMaRiNE is going to get forced back. However, he trades out rather decently, I'd say. DeMusliM on the retreat, actually. His Marines are going to stand and fight versus this now, though. But fighting into a siege tank or two, DeMusliM probably has no choice but to just retreat here. HeRoMaRiNE able to force his opponent back. We'll see if he's planning on maybe floating over a command center or something, because incomes are dropping. DeMusliM's is higher at this point than HeRoMaRiNE's. There's no doubt about that. DeMusliM, nice save on that siege tank, gets on out of there. Should be a lot of production back at home. There we are. There's the reinforcements for DeMusliM. We'll see if he groups up and tries to go for an attack. Army supplies still relatively even. Just the army supply in TvT is an interesting thing, because the tanks, even when you're down, can make up a lot of difference. So when it's close, it's really close now. Now these tanks, Marines going to be engaging each other. It looks like HeRoMaRiNE has the faster siege. DeMusliM actually engaging without that. His bio coming from the behind, trying to get the flank on HeRoMaRiNE here. HeRoMaRiNE's tanks are actually falling, so DeMusliM able to break the blue Terran player. GG, just like that. DeMusliM able to take down HeRoMaRiNE in that fantastic TvT, dare I say. HeRoMaRiNE, he was pressured a lot from that game. Just what really did him in was the fact that he couldn't secure up his third base. DeMusliM did a good job being aggressive all over the place, and when HeRoMaRiNE lost that, it was all right for HeRoMaRiNE until he did lose that third command center, and then it became very, very dire for him. Anyway, guys, I don't usually cast the mirror matchup, so if you did tune into this one, make sure to hit that like button to show that you enjoy these great TvTs and maybe some great PvPs and maybe even some great ZVZs in the future. Otherwise, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I'm always putting out more of these casts. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.